Before we get started, I have one little pointer on opening your paints. When you open your paint up, there's going to be some foil on the inside of the cap. The outside of your lid, if you notice before you unscrewed it, has a little pokey thing in the middle of this lid. After you unscrew this lid, you turn it upside down and you poke the spoke through the foil. Remember, when you're all done, to put your caps on. Make sure that they're nice and tight. You don't have to overdo it, but finger tight, so that you'll be able to go back and use your paints many times before they're empty. Campers, we're going to start out with our biggest brush from our package, and we are going to use titanium white, and we're going to use the yellow, primary yellow, and cadmium yellow. And the first thing we're going to do is get our brush halfway loaded up with white and halfway loaded up with yellow. So your brush will look like this. We're going to do the white side down, and we're going to make back and forth motions across your canvas, working our way upwards. I'm going to get some more white and some more primary yellow and go up a little further. And then now I'm going to get yellow halfway on my brush and the cadmium yellow, the darker yellow, on the top. And we're going to keep working our way up until we get to the top of the canvas. Make sure you go around your sides. And if you do pretty thin paint, it should dry quickly enough so that we can put another layer on in a minute. When you're done with this step, you want to rinse your brush or wash your brush out really well. If you take good care of your brushes, they will last for years. After you wash your brush, you're going to give it a dry with your rag. Using the same brush that's still a little damp, we are now going to use titanium white, viridian green, and a little bit of black. And this time we're going to work from the bottom of the canvas up, and we are going to load. We're going to do it a little weirdly though, so pay attention. We're going to load half with white, half with the viridian green, and then I'm going to start right about here and work my way down, and I'm going to go back and forth. I want to slant it a little bit. Sorry about that. Because I kind of want it to look like a hillside, because it is. All right, I'm going to get a little more green on my brush and just a teeny tiny bit of black. Really not much at all. You know, as they say, a little dab will do ya. And we're going to go back and forth along the bottom. And that black will darken the very bottom of it. Maybe put a teeny bit more than what I have. All right, and now you're going to wipe your brush off with your rag. You're not going to wash it. We're going to load it up with more white on the top on one half, more green on the bottom, and we're going to start up a little higher, and I'm going to slant it again, maybe a little different slant. And as I'm painting, I'm going to try to remember to go around to the edges of my canvas so that they look pretty too. Back and forth. And I'm going to try to get the paint on here pretty thin for the reason that we're going to have a Sasquatch to paint in a minute. And we don't want a super wet canvas if we can help it. Now I'm going to get a little bit more green. And once again, a teeny tiny bit of black. A little dab will do ya. There's barely anything on that brush. Trying to get you to see it. And then we're going to do the very bottom of this stretch just to give it a little bit more of a color difference. And you can see how it's a little darker right through there. And then we're going to wipe off our brush one more time. And make sure when you're putting your rag down, you're putting it down on a protected surface and not on your adult's couch or the rug. We want to make sure we take good care of our house that we live in. All right, last time I'm going to slant it again and go back and forth. And as you can see, because I'm using an easel, I got a little paint flying off the sides, but that's all right because my floor is protected. And then one more time loaded the green and a little bit more black. And we're going to go back and forth, and then I'm going to turn my brush the skinny way like this, kind of really define this line in there. All right, good job. Wash your brush out and dry it this time. Now we're going to work on the trees. So we have some of our primary green and our bright green and our Mars black. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get most of the brush in green, almost all of it. Still using the same big brush. And then little teeny dab of black, a little dab will do ya. We're going to make two trees, one on each side. We need to leave the middle of the canvas open for the Sasquatch. And we're going to start where the point at the top of the tree is, and we're going to drag down, drag down, drag down. I'm going to flip the brush around, drag down. And if you have too much black, stop where you're at, wipe your brush off with your rag, and just start again with just some of the green, the primary green. Swipe down, down, down. And you're just kind of just ending and lifting your hand up as you go. All right, time for the other tree. I'm going to get a little bit of the bright green on the top of my brush, and the bottom has the darker green. And we're going to swipe. I'm going to make it a little shorter than the other tree. Swipe down, down, down. Go the other way a little bit and angle it like the tree branches would. See? If you want to bring a little bright green into your first tree, you can do that. And those are your trees. Remember to wash your brush off really well. Squeegee it and give it a dry. Next, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I'm going to switch to this blue one. The tip is about as big as my fingernail. And with our primary yellow and our violet, we are going to do a little mixing, and we're going to make some brown. Sometimes you have to use different paints to make brown. A lot of times you use blue, yellow, and red. But I found with this paint that purple, or the violet, mixed with the bright primary yellow, actually makes a pretty good brown for our Sasquatch. But only put a little bit at a time of your violet into your yellow mix. And as you can see, it's getting to be a nice, pretty chocolate brown. And I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so your Sasquatch is going to be right in the middle, and we're going to just tap along where we want the head to be. So I'm not pushing really hard on the canvas, and then I'm going to tap where the feet are going to be. I'm going to have 1 foot there and 1 foot there. So right now we're just going to find the outline to our Sasquatch. And I'm going to go down with a kind of a big shoulder, and her first hand will end about there. And then this one, I'm going to go up a little because I think I'm going to have her wave. And I'm going to use the flat part of my brush to give her a little hand. And then a little thumb. And I think you can see that pretty well from the camera. All right, I'm gonna now go up from the legs and up from the legs. And that's where her legs will be. Finish her arm. So if you start your legs up from the bottom and your head at the same time, you can do a little bit better about getting humans or Sasquatches to be a bit better proportioned. It's really hard to draw people and not make their legs too short. So I find if I go up, so I'm making a leg, I'm going to make the outside of the other leg. Doot, 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 doot. All right, so there's the outside of her body. I'm not going to do the whole face in yet because I want to leave a circle. So I'm going to go like this and leave room for us to put some lighter color on the inside of the face so that we'll be able to see her. Now we're just going to keep tapping and fill this in. We don't want to mix this in with the background color. So if you have a really wet area on your canvas from doing the trees or the grass, you'll want to hold off for a couple minutes until it's dry. The fur on the Sasquatch is going to be wet for quite a while. So make sure if this is set down somewhere that it won't fall on anything in your house that you care about. Keep filling in. And make the feet fluffy and big if you want. I like the nice big feet on her. Because, you know, she is Bigfoot. All right. Now you can take a little bit of your violet. Get a little bit on the tip of your brush, and you can push that around on top of the brown, and you can make it look a little darker in spots. So under the arm is a good spot to make it darker. Along the edge, maybe make a little bit of a round belly. And if you have some of your black left over from when you did the trees, you can wipe your brush off a little bit and get some of your black, and you can swish that through where you think it needs to be a little bit darker. Maybe the bottom of her feet. At this point, I want you to wash your brush off, and I'm going to show you how to do the face. We're going to take whatever leftover brown we have, and we're going to use a little bit of white And we are going to mix most of the white. So I have my white here. It's actually on my paintbrush, and I'm going to get a little teeny bit of the brown, and we're going to mix it together, and we're going to make a tan color. And that is going to be our face. Smush it around in the face. Start in the middle maybe, and work your way to the outside. And if you need to make a little more, go ahead. All right. She's looking good. At this point, you can rinse your brush off and get some of the yellows that you have left over, maybe some of the whites you have left over, and you can get some of that on your brush, and you can highlight where she needs a little bit more lightness along her arm. Because the sunshine is going to be behind her. So get a little more of the yellow. I'm going to put a little bit on her belly. Get a little bit more of that. Kind of make my way on top of the feet. And you don't have to mix everything in really well. You can kind of just dab it on top, wiggle it around. My brush strokes aren't completely brushed in, and that's okay. This time we're going to start off with the magenta pink and the white. And I just got a little bit of pink on the very corner of the brush. A little dab will do ya. And I'm going to mix it in with the white. And you don't have to get all the white with the pink in it. It's just made a nice pink there. And now we're going to show you her cheekbones. We're going to do a little rosy cheek here. And we'll do another little rosy cheek on the other side. So I'm just mixing the same color again to get a little bit more on there. And now she has rosy cheeks. And with our small red brush, we're going to start working on the face. We're going to use some of our leftover brown. And we're going to get it on our brush. And I like to roll it as I'm loading it. And I'm going to give her some eyebrows. So I'm going to do a little wiggle here. And I'm going to do a little wiggle on this side. And if you want to fix any of her hair around her face, I'll give her some bangs or something. This would be the time to do it. Now we're going to use the same brush and we're going to wash it off and dry it off. And then get your black again. And I'm going to load the brush once again by rolling my paintbrush to it. I'm spinning it with my fingers as I load it so I can get a nice sharp point like that. And then I'm going to give her some eyes. And I think I'm going to have her gleefully with her eyes kind of closed, looking pretty happy. having a hard time reaching in here with the camera, and I apologize, my hand's kind of in the way. Looking pretty happy there. I'm going to load my brush the same way. And I'm going to give her a smiley face. And if you want to give her a smiley face with the little lines, you can do that. All right, and then we have one more thing to do, and we're going to call this painting done. With the same brush, wash it off and dry it. And we're going to take some of that beautiful magenta that we have, just the magenta all by itself, and we're going to spin it. And if we do this little trick, if you hold your brush and the point is facing down like that, but I have to show it to you on the side, you push down and then go to one side, and you push down and you go to the other side. I made a heart. So we're going to do that on your painting. If you want to practice it on a piece of paper first, that would be a great idea. So I'm going to press down and go to one side, and press down and go to the other. Last thing we're going to do is we are going to sign our artwork, and you can do it with the same brush and the same paint. So load your brush up again by twisting it and getting a nice sharp point. And what I do is I usually just put my initials on the bottom. Thanks for painting with me, campers. I have one last step. I almost forgot. I usually have you sign your name last, but we forgot to put the sun in the sky, or I forgot to put the sun in the sky. So we're going to start off with some cadmium red and some cadmium orange, and we're going to use one of our Q-tips to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to basically roll my Q-tip in the cadmium orange. I'm going to decide where I want my sun, and I'm going to make a circle. I like using Q-tips for things that I'm going to do that need to be very round. I feel like it leaves a softer edge. All right. And you feel like you like the shape of your sun, you're going to use the other side of a Q-tip, and you're going to get the cadmium red on it. And this time we're going to swirl it around so that you'll still see the orange. You can make it like a spiral. It gives the sun a little bit more detail. You can kind of swirl it through again if you want. And you can always go back in with your orange if you want to do a little more orange there. And if you overmix it, you'll lose some of your color. I think that's enough for me there. Might straighten out my edge right here. There, I'm happy. So now, with the red side, I'm going to make some dots around the sun. Instead of having sun rays, which are a lot of times lines, I thought it'd be pretty to make some dots. Very folk artish. Now I'm going to take some of the orange on the orange side of the Q-tip and do the same thing. Make some little random happy little sunshine. And now we are actually done.